An entire world is ready for you to start your career teaching the path to wellness.
Mastering the science of mindfulness.
And the art of coaching.
To help clients achieve mental, emotional, and physical betterment of life.
Through movement,
nutrition,
recovery, and regeneration.
Because impacting one person impacts a family.
Impacting a family impacts a community.
And impacting a community impacts the world.
Become an NASM certified wellness coach.
You're listening to Random Fit with hosts Wendy Batts and Ken Miller, winner of a Gold Markham Award for Digital Media.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Random Fit. Hello, Ken. How are you?
Wendy, I'm awesome. How you doing?
I am good. Today, we are going to have an incredible discussion, I think, when we talk about how you really don't have to take a day off, even though you should take a day off. So how can you take a day off and rest your body, but not really take a day off? So that's what we're going to be covering today, is making the most of your days off and talking about things that you can do, especially if you are like myself, who really has this, loves a routine. I like a schedule. And when I don't have things scheduled out, then it just doesn't get done. It just messes with my mojo, you know?
No. So if I'm understanding you right, Wendy, what you're saying is that every day is an on day if we're not really taking off days.
Yes.
Yeah,
but how can that be? Because we definitely need to rest our body. We need to rest our mind, rest our soul, find some time to kind of down regulate our life a little bit and find that relaxation. However, I think personally for myself, when I, schedule a workout, let's say on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, if I schedule, quote, my off days and actually put it in there as this is my recovery off day or my active off day, then I can actually schedule something out to do and it's still in my calendar. So therefore it gets done. And I think I just kind of started this and I've seen a lot of, I feel a lot better. I don't know.
Well, it does take some time, but overall, when we're talking about working out, like you said, a lot of people, if you're a 3-day a week person, usually the schedule is going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and your quote unquote off day is going to be like Tuesday, Thursday, and then the weekend, depending on how you manage your time and your schedule. But it also depends on how you're looking at fitness, how you're looking at wellness, and that just doesn't have to be, a box that you check off, when you walk through the doors of the gym or your health club, right? It's anything that you do to make yourself better, right? So we work out so we can impose stress on our bodies. But in the end, what you have happen is that with that stress, your body says, hey, that's a lot for me to go through right now. So you know what, for me to encounter that physical stress, whether it was running on the treadmill, doing your bench, your squat, and all that stuff, your body says, I have to be in a better position to encounter this amount of workload the next time. So you break down so that you can build back stronger, right? And, of course, in this country, we oftentimes get away with the thought process of more is better, but we know that is the opposite of the actual situation. Like more is just more, and more stress just can lead to overstress or distress. And a lot of times that can lead to you're for one, you're going to plateau. You're not going to see the results that you're trying to work for. But if anything, it puts you in harm's way by increasing the likelihood that you can get hurt or injured because of fatigue, overall overstress on the soft tissues and things like that. So we have to look at, okay, well, what are we doing overall on a 7-day calendar or a monthly calendar, or however you look at your workout routine, to actually look at the betterment of our physicality, as well as mental and emotional and spiritual and all that good stuff that goes along with it. But from the physical standpoint, as we manage putting stress into our body through working out, we also want to manage how we take stress out of the body, or what our friends Derek Price might say, is working in. So how do we take stress out of the body when we do such a good job of putting stress into the body?
Oh, when I think of working in, it's like, hey, can I work in with you because you're on some piece that I really want to use right now? So I guess that's another way of looking at working in. And those of you guys that are joining myself, Wendy Batts, and Ken Miller today here on Random Fit, we're talking about how you can make the most out of your days off. And I think it's important because, like you said, we talk so much about, proper, warm up and different types of dynamic stretching that you can do. And then going and actually working out and changing up your workout routines based on how you move, how you feel, and we're increasing strength and performance long term, as well as, feeling pretty good in your activities of daily living. It's just, again, regimen and routine and rituals, that's super important for a lot of different people. A lot of my clients, especially my athletes, they really have to do something in their mind every single day, or they would be the people that go and, they're doing their SAQ and they're running and they're sprinting and track days on their quote days off. And then they come and they want to lift heavy and they need to do this because they're getting ready to start the season and they have to be able to, in basketball, box people out or jump higher or have the endurance to last so many minutes in the game. While all that's important, to your point, Ken, if we don't really embrace, this stretching aspect and what we call recovery sessions, then we will end up having all of those issues that you just mentioned. Plus, we start building dysfunction. And that's kind of hard for people to understand because we're like, no, work out, and you're not going to have that. And if you do these different things, then this won't happen. But in all reality, you need a break. And so when we're thinking about what a recovery session is, think of it as active or passive. And we'll kind of go through the differences of those, but what we need to do to recover. So therefore, when we get those clients or yourself back into the gym, you're going to be able to maximize that workout because you need to kind of bring it down a little bit and kind of realign the tissues that you just beat up on the day before or 2 days before or whatever. Plus, when you wake up in the morning, if you're super sore, sometimes going and adding even more weight and stuff is not the best thing for you. Your body is telling you something.
Right. And I think, to get back into that, these examples you bring up is that somebody might have a weight room day. Somebody might have a practice, like an on-court practice, where maybe they're doing practicing a bunch of jump shots, or they're practicing their defense, and that might require them to jump and land, right? And then they might have a conditioning session, so their legs are just getting beat up over and over and over and over again, day after day after day. And and a lot of times, what you'll see with a lot of these athletes, they're going to do the same. They're going to do the same recovery routine. Right? It might be, they just do an ice bath after an intense workout bout, but then that'll be it. So when it comes to the recovery part of it all, it's just about, okay, what are our true options nowadays, especially when we look at research and science? And we've done an episode on recovery, on different components, like we've done Normatec, right? We've talked about percussion and vibration through the use of great products like through Hyperice, right? So when we're talking about recovery and regeneration and making sure, one, you can recover over a bout or a couple of bouts of training. And then, the other way to look at it is, how can I prepare for my next bout of training? So if I know that I've got a heavy workout day tomorrow, and I know that I've got a heavy conditioning day the day after that, I want to make sure that I get my rest now and I get my muscles as pliable and as toned in and as flush as I can. So from that vantage point, what can I do to get through a training period? And then how can I better prepare for the next training period overall?
Yeah. And I think, one thing when I start talking to my clients about, breaking down, I'm like, listen, we need to give you some, recovery days. And again, I'm a huge advocate for the recovery boots. And like you mentioned, the percussion devices. But as soon as you say, let's talk about active recovery, it is so amazing how they perk up because they hear the word active. And so when we talk about active recovery, we're really talking about that you're actively performing and still moving in order to get your body to relax and to kind of get yourself prepared for the next day. So sometimes, like if you wake up in the morning and your quads are super sore, then doing some of the, like mimicking some of those patterns that you did that got you sore in the gym can actually make you feel better. And so you can go through, and not saying lift heavy or whatever, but let's say you did like legs really, really heavy, and you woke up in your quads, like I said, they're sore. So then what you could do is you could just kind of actively go through some dynamic stretching, go through some walking lunges, go through and kind of pause, do things slow and controlled. Like you mentioned, do a hypervolt session on yourself, try to get those tissues, and you're down regulating overactivity. You're kind of flushing through the system to get the things that are, kind of toxic in there out. So therefore you're getting better blood flow and reoxygenating the tissue. And then you can do things like, go and have fun outside with your kids if you want, go for a swim, go for a hike, do the things like I need to do, like go out and garden. Gosh knows I need to do that, or just hire it out. But that kind of things can really impact you. Plus you're moving, you're still burning calories, especially if you have weight loss goals. There's so many benefits to things like that. And I think we take active recovery for granted.
Yeah. So I think we do need to kind of back up a little bit and look at some of our recovery options, right? So you mentioned a lot of good ones. One, gardening, swimming, things like that. Things where you're just outside, you're active, you're moving, you're not, when we look at the traditional, definition of recovery or an off day, where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to go home and chill out. And, usually that winds up being, you're sitting on the couch watching TV or something like that. But, although there is benefit to that from a mental unloading standpoint, we need to look at recovery from a couple different vantage points. One, active, and another one being passive. So Wendy, you brought up a lot of active ones where you're out and about, you're moving, you're getting exposure to sun and some of those examples that you brought up. But there's also the passive side, like I mentioned, watching TV, just mentally kind of just relaxing from one passive standpoint. But also passive standpoint is, Wendy, when was the last time you got a full body massage?
Well, let's just say I've got a lot of gift certificates, which are phenomenal. Yeah. It's just taking the time to use them. So do I love them? Yes.
Yeah.
And, do I need them? Absolutely. Do I take advantage of it because I, quote, can't find the time? Maybe that's what I need to put in my schedule, is that's my off day.
Exactly. And what you just shared there, Wendy, that's what a lot of busy people wind up doing. They have, they bank up all of these opportunities to get like something like a full body massage. I mean, I don't know about you, but when it comes, Valentine's Day or anniversaries, one of the things I'm guilty of is I write a little gift certificate to my wife and say, hey, good for a free massage. But even though it's like I have a massage table here at the house, is it one of those things that she ever cashes in on? No, she's too busy, or I'm too busy, or she wants to cash it in at like 8:00 at night, and I'm like, I'm ready for bed. So these opportunities don't get taken up on, but something like a full body massage is it does need to be scheduled, is my point, right?
Wow.
You need to put it on the calendar, just like you would a workout. And that's what I was that's what I was trying to get to. It's like, as far as your workout schedule, you need to plan your workouts and your work in. So when we talk about getting that massage, Wendy, you need to look at all your certificates, whatever hasn't expired.
I know, right?
Take that and then, put that on your calendar. So I need boom, here, next Monday, here's how I'm going to start off my day.
Well, first of all, those of you guys that are just joining, Ken Miller and I, we're talking about making the most of our days off here on Random Fit today. And we're not talking about just massages. However, I find that fascinating that you actually write something to your wife and say, hey, I want to give you a full body massage. Like, I am a licensed massage therapist. So is my husband. And neither one of us are saying, let me give it to you. It's more of like, here, refer out and go see this person because they can work with you, because neither one of us want to do that.
Yeah. I know. You know what? Because
I'm a terrible wife. That's what you're telling me right now.
You know what? In real life, though, what it winds up being is like, because you're not going to tell your massage therapist like, hey, that's a little too, can you go a little bit more to the right? It's because that's what our sessions wind up being. It's like, hey, is this how you treat your other clients? It's like,
Yeah,
no,
that's too deep. That hurts. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Like,
You're
I
not
don't
going
do
to
it
tell
that
your
way.
massage.
Try it my way.
Yeah,
No.
you're not going to tell your massage therapist that, but you will tell your spouse when you're not doing it right. You'll let them know, and that's where it's like, you know what? Forget it. I'm done.
Yeah, you know what? Let me tear that gift card up, and you're going to go somewhere else.
I'm going to spend good money for someone else to make you feel better.
But going back on track to your point, when you're talking about passive, it's like you're not really doing anything besides trying to relax, and you're actually letting other things or people help you, kind of restore your tissues. And so again, I am a huge fan of massages. I love them. I believe in them. I see all the benefits of them because, again, if I'm super overactive in certain areas, they can help do different types of stretching. They can do some manual therapy work and really help realign those tissues to better, give me better range of motion in my joints. Right. However, there's other things because, like you said, we've talked about, the Normatec boots, and literally you're putting on, boots or, any kind of boots that actually kind of blow up. And again, we did a full podcast on just the different types of recovery boots, but they blow up cell by cell and they constrict your muscles, and then it lets it out cell by cell to kind of help increase blood flow and lymphatic flow through your body. So therefore you're kind of flushing through and you're able to recover faster, especially if you are, training at a very high level, doing endurance type activities. That is super beneficial. And you can still multitask while you're in your boots.
Yep. And there's been many a times I've had the laptop.
Me too.
On my boots. I'm doing
they
my
go
thing.
Up and they go down. And
then the next thing you know, 30 minutes later, I wake up and I'm like, man, I got nothing done. But I think one of the things you're touching upon, Wendy, is like, let's just say if I had a great, training session on the road, right? I did 2-mile run and then I, do my cool down and then I get in my Normatec boots the next day. One of the things you want to consider with recovery is, if you have more than a few options or you understand the purpose or the benefit of the form of recovery that you're taking part in, whether it's passive or active, one of the things you want to consider is, does it match the stress from the previous workout, right? So if it's running, which is, again, a lot of pounding on the pavement, and then when you put on the boots, you're actually promoting that upward flow of blood and lymph, as you mentioned, Wendy. So Normatec would be or compression boots would be a great complement recovery-wise to the activity of running, right? Or if you had a big leg day in the gym, right? Compression boots would be a great way to facilitate the recovery process for the lower body. So if you give some thought to, okay, well, what kind of stress has my body been experiencing within the last 2 or 3 training sessions, and how can I best counter? What's the best method to counter the amount of stress I put into the body? Then, now we can start to mix and match. Just like, one of the ways I talk to my clients about recovery is like just like you have different modalities for working out, right? So maybe I use a suspension trainer. Maybe I'm using, or maybe different methodologies. Maybe I'm using today's more balance oriented, or today's more power, today's more strength. Well, you want to look at different modalities in your approach of implementing recovery. So maybe today is a gardening day, right? So plenty of sunlight. It's not too hot. I'm communing with nature. I'm earthing, if you will, if I'm taking my shoes off, right? And we did an episode on that as well. So if you now start to realize, okay, well, what stress have I put into my body? And then what is the best match for that, for taking stress out of the body? Then we can start to really look at, okay, well, what should I do today? So again, looking at that weekly, monthly calendar, now we can start to add in, okay, oh, you know what? It's been a while since I gardened. So let's go ahead and garden the day after I do a total body workout. Or I haven't gotten my Normatec boots. Well, I'm going to go for a run tomorrow. So let me go ahead and get into some compression boots immediately thereafter or the day after that.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it's important to, again, like you mentioned, we've talking kind of mixing and going in different places. When we're talking about the active, we're actively doing something. And then when we're talking about passive, we just kind of lay there and let something else, or sit there and let something else kind of do the recovery for us, if you will. You know, it kind of goes both ways to what you're saying, because I know a lot of times, even with my clients, the ones that are very big on scheduling and they have to go into the gym, then, you know, if they want to see me 5 days a week, then, you know, I'll say, okay, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we're doing this type of workouts. But when you come in on Tuesdays and Thursday, we're actually going to do active recovery. And now they understand what that means. They come in, they're going to lay down on the table. I'm going to do some stretching for them. So that is more passive. They're laying there. I can have them do some, you know, contract, relax work, which is more active. However, whatever I need to do to get better range of motion. And then I can run the, you know, the hypervolt on them. So again, that's passive. I'm doing it for them. Or you can do it yourself, which is you're actively doing it yourself. But then I also tell them to grab a foam roller, and I want them to foam roll, whether they're doing it, you know, in the gym with me, if they're doing it, you know, they can do stuff like that at home. That's more active. But then I also implement the corrective exercise strategies that I know they need. Everyone's got a week behind. Do some glute bridges, do some, you know, weak hips. We know that's a big thing. Do lateral tube walking, you know, do different exercises that you know that you don't want to do in the gym on your strength days, because you want to go in, you want to lift heavy and throw the bars around, all the power to you. But just remember those little muscles that protect those, you know, those big muscles to get them to fire appropriately. Then I think it's important to kind of take a step back and say, what got me to this point? Well, moving better, having better range of motion is going to give you a better outcome. So doing, you know, like I said, these little exercises that you don't really like to do, that the reason you don't like to do them is because they're hard, and you want, you know, you're not really lifting anything other than your own body weight at times. And that in itself, when you slow things down, you really focus on your form, you focus on range of motion, and you execute it correctly, you're going to feel 10 times better the next day if you're going to go do something where you're lifting heavy.
Yeah. And I mean, you bring up a lot of good points there, Wendy, because
why, thanks.
Well, I mean, from the standpoint that, you know,
this one time you said, I'm just kidding.
I mean, if you think about what you just said, and I know that you don't remember what you just said, but if you're working with somebody that often or that frequently, if you're a personal trainer listening to us here on Random Fit talking about making the most of your off days, if you're one of those hybrid fitness professionals who certified personal trainer, certified to touch or licensed to touch, right? Massage therapist, somebody that has licensure or is approved through your county or city to basically put hands on somebody. And that could be a matter of doing massage, or that can be about assisted stretching, you know, whatever your jurisdiction allows. But you can have one day a personal training session, another day corrective exercise, which again, we can look at more as regeneration. And then you can look at another day as assisted stretching, or if you're familiar with how to use percussion and vibration, as you mentioned, the hypervolt, then you could just have a hypervolt session again. And the examples you're bringing up are a mix of active and passive, because if I have my client do a guided foam rolling session, just to make sure that they're doing things correctly, their skills are tuned up, they're not, you know, falling into any bad habits, but also a way of promoting flexibility and range of motion through your assistance, where now if I'm going to do an assisted hamstring stretch, if it was deemed necessary, then that's a way of passively getting more range of motion versus active range of motion, which is another modality of flexibility. So if you have that skill set, or even if you don't, if you know somebody who does have that skill set, it's a great opportunity to refer out. So from a perspective of using different modalities or different professionals, if you will, as modalities, that's another great way of networking, or actually using other businesses within your local community. Because one of the other methods of recovery can be like a yoga session. We haven't brought up yoga. And the thing about yoga is the fact that they tend to be more like rotational type of motions and positions when you look at a lot of the poses. And one of the things that we tend to be weak on or lack in diversity of movement patterns, it's rotation, right? So if you're going to do, let's say, child's pose or downward facing dog and getting into different hinge positions, you can get into warrior pose and start to get into some rotational motions. Plus, if you're standing, there's a lot of balance poses as well. So you're forcing the body to do things that you wouldn't do through traditional gym-based exercises to begin with. But you brought up a lot of good points, and you're feeding into the thought process that just as we challenge the body differently in our workouts, we want to challenge the body differently in our recovery sessions as well.
Yes, I mean, yoga is a big one. Pilates is a great one too. I mean, anything that's going to challenge you, that it's going to get you excited to go, it's a win. And, I think really, like, to your point, think about, like, what are you doing in a week? What are you doing for yourself in order to restore flexibility and make sure you're engaging those muscles that tend to be weaker on you just based on life or what you know about yourself? And if you can really, like, commit to doing yoga one time a week, that would be great. Or Pilates another time of, another day a week. And then you're going to the gym 3 days a week. And then you go for a walk with your family or the dog, or, you're outside playing catch with your kids, for example, playing soccer, little things like that. I mean, I'm not saying when I say play soccer, we're not talking a professional level, like you're just out kicking the ball and like having a good time. Right. All of that is movement. Movement is medicine. We've talked about that so much. I'm a huge believer in that. And, I mean, if you just want to sit all day, you're not going to see positive results. You're going to end up sore. Your workout is going to suffer the next few days. And it's really not beneficial. You get up, work out that soreness somehow, some way. Like, my key takeaway is you're going to feel so much better. And if you're a scheduled kind of person, just like I said in the beginning, if you know that from, 8 to 9, that is a good time for you to work out. That's when you feel the best. You're going to benefit. And you need to have something every single day, then schedule that across the board, Monday through Friday, and then make sure you do something active on the weekends as well. Maybe more family oriented or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big part of it. I mean, I had a client, we were trying to figure out, okay, well, with his schedule, because he works, he's on the West Coast, but he works with East Coast clients, but he also has clients in India. So the question is, okay, well, how can we get him on a regular workout routine if his schedule is all bogged down and, just, okay, now it's like, where do you put it in there where he's going to get the workout and the recovery? So from that vantage point, it doesn't have to be, things that you have to go out of your way, to do, because he's got two sons who both play baseball. Well, guess what? Throwing the ball around is exercise. It is mental recovery. It helps him get his mind off of work, but also the aspect of throwing and rotating and tossing and fielding a ball. I mean, I just have to say, hey, you're doing more than you realize from a recovery standpoint, right? Yep. Just you moving, reaching, playing, lunging. Those are total body movements. Plus, the laughing and the giggling and the bonding you have with your sons. That's going to release endorphins and all the feel good hormones. And of course, you're going to, you get exposure to the light, which is going to help the brain sense, okay, this is daytime. When you shut down, this is nighttime. It's going to help you enhance that rest. So there's a lot of hidden benefits. You just have to, kind of read the research a little bit or do some, figure out what works for you. And I think for my takeaway on this episode is, everybody responds differently to different things. Just like some people like to do, barbell and dumbbell work, and that's the way they love to challenge their body. But you also have to find a preference for how your body responds to recovery. How does your body heal the best? And find a modality that is practical, but also effective. Does it fit into your schedule? But also, do you truly feel the benefit and know that, oh, well, thank goodness I played outside yesterday because I feel 100% better today. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think I'm also going to throw in there too, your personality, because I'm always on the move. I've always got to be doing something. I don't feel like if I sit down, I know, right? Who knew? But if I sit down, I don't feel like, I feel like what's in my head, I should be doing this, I should be doing that.
Right.
I know that's also how I feel when I do go get a massage. Like I feel kind of guilty. And I know that we've talked about that as well. So, if someone like myself doing active recovery where I can do that, I think is a huge benefit. My husband, on the other hand, can sit down and watch TV and it's no big deal. Throwing him in the boots or whatever,
boom,
not a problem. So I think too, just kind of look at the big picture, look at who you are, your personality, what you like, but just don't forget the importance of recovery and somehow, some way, find what works best for you, fit it in, get it done. And you're going to see a lot more benefit long-term.
Yeah. Just try something new. Right. Try something new.
Well, this is fun.
Yeah, no, this is it's really good to talk about this because it doesn't get discussed enough in depth or in frequency. So I'm glad we were able to put this one out there, Wendy. So thank you so much for spending your time. And for those of you listening to us here on Random Fit and making the most of your off days, we hope you enjoyed the information we had to share today. But if there's anything you'd like to see from us in the future, please like, follow, subscribe, and more importantly, comment. Let us know how we can deliver information that you want. So until next time, again, thank you, Wendy. Until next time, take care and be well.